Hi, I'm Leslie Maddox, an engineer turned homeschool mom, and I like to talk about the nitty-gritty of homeschooling. Today, I will continue to talk about the nitty-gritty of lesson planning. You will see how I plan out lessons for a few subjects for my kids. In the past couple of videos, I showed you how I use a little bit of how I pre-plan and how I use Homeschool Planet to do our lesson planning. I'm an affiliate for Homeschool Planet, so just know that. I've been using it for 5 years since I started homeschooling, and I'm pretty comfortable with it, and it meets my needs and works out well for me. So in the first video I did about lesson planning, we talked a little bit about that, about what to look for in a lesson planner and different types to choose from, and why I chose Homeschool Planet. In the second video I did about lesson planning, I talked about doing some pre-planning and planning out what subjects you'll be covering, and how to document your research, and then choosing what subjects to do each day and how often to do each subject during the week, to kind of plan out before you get into lesson planning. So now that we've done all that, I'm ready to plan a couple of our subjects. So I'll show you how I do that, how that works on Homeschool Planet. All right, so first of all, this is our planner view for Homeschool Planet. Talked about that in that first video. I'm using the calendar view, so I see the entire week, and we see here I've already started planning some of our subjects. I have my kids color coded, so in the last video I showed you how to do these stripes and how to color code them, so I have one student in red, so all the ones with the red stripes are his, and then blue stripes are another student, and then green stripes are my oldest boy. Once I put those in there, I then move them around so that the red were together, the blue together, the green together. It just makes it easier for me to glance through and see who's done what and to mark them off. Okay, let's see what else. So you can move these around. You can move them from day to day. And I move them within each color so that they're in the order that I want them to be. And notice I don't have times for these. So now that I've explained a little bit about that, let's jump into planning more subjects, because I only have a few enough, so I got a lot of planning to do. All right, so I showed you in the last video this, let me move my face, this spreadsheet that I use to do my pre-planning. These are subjects that are required in my state. Be sure to know what's required in your state, and then these are other subjects that we're covering or plan to cover. Over here I have a little table where I did some brainstorming on like what subjects I want to cover each day, because you don't want to cover every subject every day. So like Bible and morning work and spelling, I'm planning to cover those every day. Grammar 4 days a week, typing 2 days a week, world history 2 days a week, science 2 days a week, and then I put them in here. My best guess is about what day I want to do each subject. And this is just so I get a good feel of whether or not I have the right amount of coursework for my kids, and if their days are too loaded up, or if there's one day that has too much work. So that's what all that is for. All right, and this is what I'm going to use right now, because the first one I want to plan out, and I already know I have to make some changes to this, is this medieval history-based writing lessons. It's an IEW curriculum. We have done their student writing intensive, so I wanted to keep with that, and we are studying Story of the World, the Middle Ages, for world history this year, so I thought we'll kind of keep within that theme. I liked that we get to continue practicing what he's learned in writing the last couple of years, and do that while also continuing to learn to stay within the theme of the Middle Ages. So that's what's happening there. All right, so notice here in my pre-planning, I have planned for him to do writing 2 days a week. I have done that different ways. Originally, I had writing 4 days a week when we were going through the student writing intensive. But then the last half of this past year, I switched it to 2 days a week. And I was thinking we were going to continue doing that. But then when I started looking at this curriculum, I realized that it was 30 days. I'm looking at, or 30 lessons, looking at the table of contents and the scope and sequence. So it's 30 lessons, which means basically, in this case, about 30 weeks. And they have it split up. So in here, it's not as straightforward as I thought it would be. With student writing intensive, I had him do, I did each writing assignment over 4 days, but I had it split up over 2 weeks. So like a keyword outline, and then writing a paragraph, then editing it, and then writing a final draft. But in this takes a little bit of a different approach, where for each day, their suggested lesson plan for each day, there's several activities to do, going over some vocabulary, which I wasn't expecting and wasn't in the student writing intensive. There's some worksheets in here, and for each day that has a list of, here's the things to do. So when I first looked at this, I thought, oh no. So first of all, it looks like I'm going to have to switch from this 2 days a week to 4 days a week. So that'll affect my course workload. So I'm gonna want to think about that, about how I want to change things around. I may do Spanish so let's move this up. I may do Spanish just 3 days a week, so that we can do these days. Or maybe I'll do Spanish. I wanted to keep Tuesday, that's his laundry day. I wanted to keep that day somewhat with a little bit less work, so I could make room for him folding his laundry and all. So Spanish might just be 2 days a week, and then typing 2 days a week. And actually, for his final drafts, I like to alternate. So like 1 week, his final draft, which would be here on Thursday, I'll have him write it in cursive, so on that day he won't have to do his handwriting. And then I'll alternate that with the next week, then have him type up his final draft. And so on that day he won't have to do this typing. So that actually lessens his workload a little bit. So I may do that. So see, this is why this is helpful, to create this plan for your weekly schedule before then going to Homeschool Planet and doing stuff. It's a lot easier to brainstorm here than over here. So let me save that. Right now, this is my plan. And so now I'm going to go into writing. So we start our school year, we're starting it on this Monday. It's like the third week in August. And I shared with you in the last video, I like to stagger the start of curriculum in the school year. So I like to ease into the school year. So I was thinking, when do I want to start writing? I don't want to start it on this first day of school. I'm pretty sure it is a 30-week curriculum. But writing is important. I actually had it here before. All of the language arts for him are especially important because they don't come as easily to him as some of his other subjects. So I want to start it a little earlier on. So I think I'll start it the second week. Let's see, that's 4 days worth of work. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start the second week. So I'm going to move over to this next week. And I'm not married to this idea. I can change it if I need to, but just for initial planning, I'm going to go ahead and start second week. I clicked here in an empty spot, class. I'm going to find writing. Since I've used that subject before, I'm not going to put anything for the title. I could write here the title, Medieval History-Based Writing Lesson, but then that'll, let me see if I just do IW writing so you can see how that looks. Assigning it to this child. So see, it fills it in here. It adds more to that box. And I don't want to do that because once you do that with every subject and then I print these out, it gets wordy. I have another document actually where I keep exactly what they do each year and I print that out at the end of the year and add it to their portfolio. So I don't need to put that in here. I mean, I print out the lesson plans as well and add that, but there's a separate document that says exactly what they cover each year. So I don't feel like I need to put it here. Assigning it to him. All right, schedule. So we are going to do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but not Friday. So that's what I decided here, Monday through Thursday. So Monday through Thursday, starting the 31st, and then the end, this is the last day of our school year. So I'll just leave that. I usually just leave that for the last day of the school year. All right, so let me save that for now. So now I have here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now, since this has a pattern for how the lessons are done, it'll be easy for me to add this pretty quickly into this lesson plan. Since each day has a lot of assignments, when I first looked at it, I thought, well, maybe I'll just stick with what we did before, where we did keyword outline, write a paragraph. You know, it was also a pattern, pretty easy pattern. But since I took a quick look at the lessons here and what's the assignment schedule for each day, and this is different than student writing intensive was. So there's more going on here. There's some vocabulary to cover, some teaching I need to do, and rather than replicate this, I'm just going to, he's going to be 6th grade, he can read this. So instead, I'm just going to tell him to, what lesson and what day of the lesson he's going to cover each day. And then he knows that he's going to need to read the assignment schedule for it, which is in his student book. And I'll work with him the first few weeks using any new curriculum. Kind of have to get your bearings and learn to use it, and after a few weeks he'll know what he needs to come to me for and whatnot, and we'll probably have a more a rhythm with it. So for now, let me show you how I'm going to add this. Instead of typing this in, that would be a lot, right? 30 weeks and 4 days for each week. So that would be a lot of typing. I'm not going to do all that. If you're going to have the same thing in each week, you can just type it here and then hit add, and it'll add it to all of that, but that's not what I want to do. I'm going to click on more options, and then you have here where you can repeat the same assignment, long reading. You have just some different options here. This is the one I want to choose. My assignments follow a recurring pattern. So let's check here. There's 30 lessons, so I'm going to change that to 30. Oh, I have my fingers in the wrong spots. Change that to 30. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next. And then you have here, this is the pattern that you want to fill out. So for me, I want to do lesson. Yeah. So we'll have lesson, and then this bracket or this curly brace, and number 1, it tells you this is where you have automatic numbering, and we're starting the numbering at 1. So this is going to be lesson 1, and instead of A, I'm going to put day 1. So I'm going to continue that. All right, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And then he'll know to look in his student book and see, all right, for lesson 1, day 1, what are my assignments? It's already written here. I don't have to redo it. And I'm not going to. So then this gives you down here a little preview of what it'll look like. So we have here lesson 1, day 1, 2, 3, 4, and then lesson 2, day 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to scroll to the end to see if I get my 30 weeks. And I can see here that means it'll end in May. So we have wiggle room, which I like. If I feel like 4 days a week is too much for writing for him, I may change this later on and see how that affects the schedule. But for now, I'm gonna do this. So I hit OK, and then we have here lesson 1, and I'm gonna have this show me and everything from that first day of class to the last day of class, and you can see that's all in there. Alrighty, so let me scroll down to something like November. Okay, so we see here we have November, and this is over here is where Thanksgiving will fall. So we're not having schoolwork. I showed you in I think the first video in this series, this lesson planning series, how to plan out your year. And then in Homeschool Planet specifically, how to choose, like mark off your days off, the days you're not going to do schoolwork, and days that are not school days. And so I have those marked off as not school days. That's why it says vacation day. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, and then since we're not doing writing on Fridays, that's not even on here. Well, but we are right now planning to do school on Monday and Tuesday, but I don't want to do writing those 2 days. I want to keep them light, maybe do Thanksgiving specific stuff, and I also want to just try to keep it where on Monday is when he starts a new lesson. But it looks like I'm gonna have to go back because I can already see that there's a problem here. The things were shifted out, but I know that this Monday and Tuesday we don't want to do. So in here I can do this a couple different ways. I can go here and say remove this date from the schedule. So see, it moved it moved that off and moved everything kind of down. Or I can go here and say change the schedule, add or remove individual dates, and then go to November and say we don't want to do writing that day. Other classes will be, that's just for writing, we're not doing it that day. Alright, so then that shifted everything, it didn't delete anything, that shifted everything down. But I see here that we have day 4 is on this Monday, so something got shifted up here along the way. We must have had a day off, and I know we did in September because that's a birthday. So we have school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but not Friday. So here's where I can decide either to not have school that day or to use Friday as the makeup day. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I add or remove individual days. I'm going to go to that week because I want to have the final draft finished at the end of the week. And so this is kind of our makeup day, Friday. So I'm adding that day back into the schedule. So then you see it show up here. And now I'm going to say, click on more, eliminate gaps in schedule. So it gets rid of all those gaps, moves everything up. So now we're back to Monday, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So there we have that. I could go for the rest of the school year and do what I just did, kind of check days, but you know, everything changes, things change. So I'm not going to do that just yet. Usually what I do is I look ahead a week and I look to see if there's anything I need to correct or anything I need to change like I just did. But for the purposes of this video, and since it's kind of early in the school year, making some of those changes, I thought I'll go ahead and do that. All right, so now we still have it ending in May, And as the school year progresses, I'll see if I have to make any changes. Now, see, we have all these days here. I could say change the start end date. So right now, the end date of that particular class is the last day of that school year. But I'm not going to do that because, like I said, things change. We might take another week off or something, and everything will, or someone might get sick, so everything will be shifted down. Or I might, toward the end of the school year, as we're getting tired and kind of worn out, I may shift it so that we do writing just twice a week, like I had originally planned. So that means one lesson will take 2 weeks to do. So I'm not going to do that now because that'll double how much time. We don't have enough wiggle room for that. But later on in the school year, that might be an option. So save and close. And now we have writing down here. So if I hadn't been doing all that talking, you see how that's something I could have done just very quickly. And there's writing planned for my son. There's some other things I could do here. They have, when I looked at the scope and sequence, there's some suggested literature that they give. So I'm going to go back to that later. And for reading, like I already planned to do a King Arthur literature unit from Confessions of a Homeschooler, so I'll look into scope and sequence and see when do they suggest that, and then that's when I'll have him do that literature unit. But that'll be when I'm planning his reading. But for now, as far as writing goes, I'm going to call that planned. I'm going to say that's done. Writing. So I'm going to put that here. And I'll go on to another subject. So this next subject I have is also one with a pretty easy pattern. It's a little more complicated, so let's go over that. I'm going to go over math. So again, this is my oldest. I have math planned for 4 days a week, and Monday through Thursday. And this one I really want to keep where Monday is the learning day. We use Matthew C, or he's using Matthew C anyway. He's in the Zeta level, just about decimals and percents. And it's a video-based, video-driven curriculum. So on Mondays, the way I want to plan it out is for Mondays, he watches the video for the new lesson and then practices, and then Tuesday and Wednesday he continues to practice with the worksheets and practicing both the new concept he's learned and then previous concepts learned. And then Thursday is a test. This is actually the test book. So Thursday, a test. And there's weekly lesson tests and unit tests and a final test. So for this one, I know that I think there's 30 weeks here. Looking at the scope and sequence. Yes, there's 30 weeks or 30 lessons. So I'm going to call that 30 weeks because it's 30 lessons. And for each lesson, there's several worksheets. There's 3 lesson practice worksheets, and they're labeled 1A, like for the lesson 1A, 1B, 1C. And then there's systematic review worksheets, 1D, 1E, 1F. And then there's an application and enrichment, which he doesn't typically enjoy those. So last year I put some of those in. I think this year I'm not going to, because this is going to be a lot for math, and he's going to be doing heavy duty math Monday through Thursday. And so Fridays I want to give him a day off from math. So Thursdays he'll do his test for the week. So how am I going to do that in Homeschool Planet? And when am I going to start? Actually, let me look back at this. So when am I going to start math? It's 30 weeks, and let's see, I think the first week he's going to do Bible, morning work. We start off slow, so Bible, morning work. And reading, I know he'll do that the first week, and then we'll add in a couple of other things here. I think I want to start math the second week, but again, I can change this later. Yeah, because I think the second week he'll start math, grammar, and spelling. All right, so I'm gonna stick here with, this is our second week of school. Click an empty spot, add a class. This is math. I could type here like Matthew C, Zeta level, whatever. I'm not gonna do that. Assign it to him. What days of the week? Selected days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Friday. Starting on this day that I chose, the second week of school, ending, and I'm going to leave it on the last day of our school year. No time because I ordered them the way that I want. So let me save that. And now I want to go to our more options. And my assignments follow a recurring pattern. And here I'm going to change that to 30. I keep typing the wrong thing. 30, next. And so here's where I fix my pattern. And this is where this one gets more complicated. Okay, what I like to do is on the first day, let me see, I want to add another assignment here so you can have more than one assignment per day. The first day, I want him to watch the video. And so he can do that on his laptop. So that's the first thing he'll do. And then I'll have him do lesson. So I'm starting at number 1. So it's going to be lesson 1. And the way these are labeled, there's no hyphens. So it's just going to be like lesson 1A. And that's all he'll do that day. But then the second day, so he's not going to do all these worksheets because that's already a lot. He's going to be watching this video, learning this new concept. So for the first day, he's not going to be doing a systematic review. So Mondays, he won't be doing it. It's just watching the video on that. But then Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to have him do a lesson practice page. And then he's going to do a systematic review page, and the first one of those is on D. All right, similar thing for Thursday, the third day. So he's going to do a lesson practice page and a systematic review page. Now, if I see that this is too much for him, I might not do that. I might just I'll play it by week. This is a new level, and I don't want him to be too stressed out, but I don't mind him working hard at math, because math is one of those things that you just have to learn to keep pushing through to learn. It's just one of those things. So for this, he'll do D and E for this. What did I have here? A, B, C, D. This one was D, and then over down here I have E. So E is the systematic review page. And as I'm grading these each day, I grade every day and check to see, kind of evaluate how well he's learning it. If I feel like we're on Wednesday and he's not getting it, or he's not doing real well, I'm not going to give him the test just yet. I'll instead give him another day review, give him the other pages, worksheets in here that we're not using, so he's doing all the lesson practice pages, but then there's one more, there's a 1F for systematic review. So I'll give him that, or Matthew C, actually, you can print out more worksheets if you go online. So I may do that, because the important thing is for him to master. This is a mastery-based math curriculum, not spiral. It's mastery. And it's a pretty gentle approach, I think, to math. Just learning a little bit, something a little new each week, and then you practice it until you really get it. And then you move on to the next concept the next week. I love that. So if Wednesday he's not getting it, then I'll move this down. I'll move the test to maybe Friday, and or maybe give him a whole other week of worksheets to do before taking the test. But for the purposes of lesson planning, we're just going to pretend like it's just going to go easy breezy. So we'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday is the test. And I'm going to leave that at test 1. So then we look down here in the preview, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, B, C, D, and so see, these worksheets are out of order, but that's how I like to do it. That's how I like it. And Thursday is the test, and then we move on to lesson 2, test 2. So do I have all 30 weeks in here? Yes. So let me see. I think I can. Oh, there's a way to get this. Oh, here we go. Bigger screen so I can kind of look at this. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So see, in a few clicks I planned out this math for the year. One other step I could take is there are some unit tests in here and a final test, and I think I am going to add those. And what I do for those, so let's see, the first unit test is, this is after lesson 8. So I'm going to go down here to lesson, so I'm going to, first of all, show everything. Then I'm going to go down to lesson 8. And what I usually do for these is, I can see things move down because we have that one day off, this vacation day. So I'm going to do like I did in the last one. Selected dates. Okay. I'm going to save and close, and then I'm going to get back in so I get the options that I'm looking for. So here, change the schedule, add or remove individual dates. So I'm going to add this day in, and then so I can keep this test here. And then where's my lesson 8? It's Thursday, so I want October 23rd. I want to add this Friday in so I can keep my pattern going, because that's what I like to do. And here I'll do unit test 1. Alright, so I'm going to add the rest of these unit tests in the final test, and I'll be back with you in just a minute.